Yo! Happy 22, y'all. How you doing? Happy Monday. Welcome in. Congratulations on surviving yet another weekend. Saffron, Happy New Year to you too. Good afternoon, good morning. Paul, big ups, big thanks. 17 months in a row. Whew, man. Thank you. I appreciate you. Hope you had a good weekend. Snowblind in Maryland and snowblind in Pennsylvania. It is dark gray here. Looks like it's like maybe 30 minutes away from nighttime darkness here. Like that's kind of the brightness in our sky here. It's pretty dark. Bunch, welcome in. Salutations, how are you? Happy New Year. Heidi, welcome in. And Dremia, welcome in. Nate, Kakashi in the chat, welcome in. And Javar, welcome in. Hope you all had a good weekend. Good to see you guys here. It is listening day, listening and voting day. We get to meet Trailer today. This is always a good day of the month, huh? I don't know how many people are in already, but we can check it here. All right, so Tremties dropped his early. So we got his here. Got another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 already. Okay, cool. So we'll expect a couple of more. And see who else is in. Whiskey's in. Saf, Trailer, Uncle Chrome, and Dremia. Awesome. Awesome. Really looking forward to this. Okay, so Tremties posted in Public Sound Design saying, okay, so I always thought, let me just hit pause on my notifications here for a bit. It says, I always thought polymeters and polyrhythms were fun, but I've never really found a proper use for them in my own sound, so I played around with some polymeters, 4, 5, and 8. The snare waves hits on the 3rd note of the 5-note pattern. The hi-hats are just regular 4/4 bar pattern repeating. Let's take down this noise over here and let's give a listen to what he came up with. Yeah. Nate says, I got distracted by my regular writing and didn't get the challenge done. Very polyrhythmic, huh? I see what you did there. A little bit of a John rhythm in there, but a great Paul rhythm too. That's awesome. All right. So Tremties has been playing with polyrhythms. Stolace has been busy. Hope you guys have checked out the most recent from Uncle Chrome. I have not. This is the collection of monthly challenge entries. Made some extra video content, slapped it all together in a compilation video. Holy heck. Oh my goodness. How long is this, Paul? Oh, right. Of course I can't play it because it premieres later. Yeah, interested to know how long this is. Awesome. Like seeing people post stuff in the collaboration channel. About 42 minutes. Okay, cool. Nice. 42 minutes of monthly challenge entries all strung together. That is awesome. All right, so as per our usual, y'all still have a little bit of time to polish up your entries and get them posted. When you do post them to the monthly challenge submissions channel on the Discord. They have to contain at least one of the samples from this last month's free sample pack. The new free sample pack will be posted after all of these shenanigans have wrapped up. It has a video for Purple Funk. Oh, nice. Nice. This is awesome. Tremtai says, by the way, I decided to call in sick. I don't know for how long, but I need some time for myself. Couldn't sleep last night because I had to text my boss and basically just block him out to get some clean air. Yeah. When you feel it needs to be done, that's when you do it, man. Take the time that you need. I'm glad that you have a bunch of people to spend some time with. Even if we can't be there, like to give you a big old group hug, we can all kick it and enjoy some music together and maybe elevate your vibrations just a bit. Seth says, once my track is up, it's up. No polishing. Blackberry Jam Studios. Welcome in, dude. How are you? Happy New Year to you. How's the stream been? The streaming's been. Streamings. Stream. It's Monday. I'm learning how to talk all over again. Yeah, Paul. How much do you think you've received there since the weather began? Yeah, I'm feeling very much the same today, Trim Ties. So I am there with you. We'll prop each other up. We'll prop each other up. All right, so ooh, nice emotes, you guys. By the way, what are these? What are these? Squid one. I like it. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. Oh, nice. Dipping into audio design desk streams. I will be as well. That will be, I think, a fairly good sized chunk of the time that we spend together. So you guys will see Logic when I'm still working on new composition type stuff. But just in general, I want to have more playtime inside of Audio Design Desk this year, since I've been so freaking focused all the time on other things. I don't want to get too far away from playing. Yeah, the squids are standard now, I see. This is awesome. Or perhaps they always have been. I just haven't seen them till now. It was recently that I saw them for the very first time. Are those new? Zaf, I know you don't have audio design desk. It's going to be Mac only for a while. Calamari sounds good. Oh man. All right. Yeah. So anyway, we'll do our listening stuff around noon. I would like to work on some beats. And I also would like to keep on pushing in the right direction with you guys in regards to learning, right? And we talked about a small handful of things on the way out the door. When was that? We didn't meet on Friday, so it would have been Wednesday last week, right? About the ear training and just listening to the main basic waveforms, etc. So kind of wanted to get back to that and get into the next step of that process, so you guys can keep making progress. And I figured that we could maybe just kind of post these things one at a time. Oh my goodness, where am I going here? On the Discord as well, we can set up a channel for these things. Let's see here. Second term, first term, 16-week. Okay, let's see here. All right, so basically, after we touch on the absolute basics of what is sound in the classroom, we would start to discuss some of the other what I kind of consider to be kind of core basics, if you will. Freaking love that gazelle. Thank you, Scruffy Rico. I appreciate you. Welcome in. Don't forget to grab free sounds. You're currently subbed right now. You can go grab the free sound back from last month, which is Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. 200 epic or 250 epic dialogue samples. So go grab those because we'll put up the new free sound pack soon. Anyway, this is usually about the point where I start touching on the other kind of core basics, which include things like silence and noise. And yeah, silence is a big thing, right? Because understanding that silence is part of the complete spectrum of sound is kind of like accepting black and white, right? White being the noise and black being the silence, accepting those in our color spectrum, right? So it helps us kind of map things full spectrum in other aspects of our life, basically. So yeah, we talk about noise and silence and the importance of each, and just understanding that, and especially in regards to, well, I feel like I have to update this one a little bit each time I talk about it, because just as of like a few years ago, I kept saying, especially in today's day and age where the drop is so tremendously important to people, right? Like building up this kind of fever pitch of energy and then releasing it or whatever. But I feel like we have actually kind of turned a corner in some of the trends that we had been seeing for a really long time in regards to just like loudness and the emphasis being on drops and stuff. Oh my goodness. Slack. Man, I swear. I need a better pause for Slack, I think. Must find a better pause for Slack. Anyway, just the concept of having silence as an element in your mix helps to keep your entire dynamic range in check, right? Because not everyone's music will have a true silence in it at any one point in time, but how close you get to silence relative to the rest of your mix can be really important, right? For the feels and for the immersiveness, etc. So that's the thing. And then noise, I like just to talk about noise early because noise is not just white noise, right? It's a source for texture, and it's a source for non-specific stuff, right? Like noise bursts, using noise as some filler content, as a layer in some sound design work, or as a basic hi-hat, or as a modulation source, right? I use noise a lot as a modulation source. I'll just slow it way down and then let it track something over time. And it's great because it brings like a level of randomness. So noise is just as important as silence, if not more so. And adding those two things to that list of basic sounds, waveforms, right? Sine wave, triangle, pulse, and sawtooth. It gives you a more complete palette to begin working with, especially on this synthesis side of things. But just having them in the conversation about the full spectrum and what the full spectrum of sound actually is, it helps you arrive at picking the right source sounds and understanding what you're hearing and other sounds. And it reminds you that not everything needs to be accomplished without those things, right? Like with just the basic waveforms, if you're working within synthesis. So two more things to add to your list, right? Silence and noise. And then after that is just the conversation about the great controller, which is the envelope, right? And if you stop and think about how our perception of the world in general works. I think I used a burner as an example once, and you guys thought it was pretty funny. But seriously, like if you put your hand on a cool burner and you turn up the heat, you're going to slowly feel it get warm, right? Obviously, it's a long attack, right? So your perception of the heat intensity increasing happens over a long period of time. Versus if you try to put your hand on a hot burner, obviously it's going to be hot immediately, right? Which is like a no attack kind of situation. It's just like bam, transient, right? And it's sharp. It is very definitive. And there's no argument about how full the sound is at its peak versus at its beginning. It's just immediate, right? But that is what attack is the difference in time, the amount of time that it takes between the triggering of a sound and reaching full potential of sound. And you'll hear me use terms like that, like full potential of sound instead of maximum amplitude, because the envelope is about modulation. It's a gate, it's a controller, but it's a thing. It's a finite thing that you have control over and that you can identify certain aspects of. And when you correlate this to your sounds, it allows you to perceive them in time, right? So all of these things really, really matter. And just understand that every single thing has some kind of an envelope on it, right? So the thinking here, moving forward from this point on at the very, very basic level, are your four main waveforms, silence and noise added to that, what sound actually is, which is amplitude and pitch, right? Not frequency, but pitch, and then timbre, right? And then you add to that everything has an envelope and everything has an EQ on it, right? Just as like this nebulous thought. And with that is your basic toolbox. Like that is what can get you to pretty much everything. in the audio world, meaning that the envelope and those waveforms can get you any kind of modulation you can imagine as controllers, right? And that the waveforms, either on their own or in conjunction with each other, that's including silence and noise, can get you to any sound that you want to get to through synthesis, right? So now it just comes down to playing with shape and those four main waveforms. But now, instead of just listening to the sine, the triangle, the pulse, and the sawtooth, I want you guys to listen to those things as well as silence and noise, or factor in silence and noise into your thinking in all of this, and start playing with just the shape. Right, so now we're building sounds out of just the basic waveforms and just super basic shapes, right? And let's just do a super quick example. Oops. Of what one of these exercises would look like. And this can be in a tool that's really visual, like Serum or something, where you can actually see the envelope and the sine wave and whatnot right there in front of you, or it can be done entirely by ear. I love that gazelle. Thank you, trailer. Scorpion Rico, thank you so much. And a small congrats to Blackberry. Where was I? Oh yeah, small examples of these. So you can be using something that is less visual, like Massive as well, right? Just keep it really simple. Let's use Serum for this quick example, just because it is so visual, as well as like easy to get to the sounds, right? If we go to basic shapes, in one wavetable, we have each of the main waveforms, which is nice. So if we start with, say, just the sine wave, ooh, I don't want to forget that I'm on beat 6 in this workflow here. Hold on. Okay. So sine wave. Right, and playing with more convex and concave curve types. And timing, and these things sound so simple, right? It's like, why would I waste my time doing all of this? Because it matters. It really, really does. You just kind of have to trust the process. The next thing is just being aware that, like, play with the entirety of the envelope, right? And part of this process is perhaps something that some of you have never actually done, right? And perhaps some of you have done this, but it's been a really, really, really long time. Or maybe you did like 90% of it, but you didn't actually like spend a bunch of time learning about decay, for instance, or something like that, right? So it's just a chance to get in here, bring down your sustain and your decay. You got a little pluck. Start increasing your release, and you got something that has a little resolve to it. So anyway, we're just going to go through the definitions of each one of these things really quickly. Attack is the amount of time that it takes to go from the source sound being triggered and you reaching the maximum potential of that sound, right? The maximum amplitude. If this is affecting the amp. If this is the main amp envelope, then this is reaching maximum amplitude. Sustain, right, is the volume level, the amplitude level that your instrument sustains at, that your sound sustains at while you still have a key pressed. Decay is the amount of time that it takes to get there. Okay, so there's attack, and then decay, the amount of time that it takes to get you to your sustained level. If your sustained level is the same as your attack, it almost doesn't even matter how long your decay is, right? Because it doesn't have to travel any distance vertically. It's just traveling horizontally at this point. So let's just talk about that. Horizontal is time, and vertical is amplitude in this particular envelope, because this envelope is controlling the amplitude of an oscillator, and that's it. Okay, and then release is the amount of time that it takes to fully resolve from the point of you lifting your finger off of your controller. Okay, so attack, the amount of time that takes place, or that transpires between pressing the key and you reaching peak amplitude, full volume, right? Decay, the amount of time that it takes to get to sustained volume. In other words, the volume of the sound while your finger is still pressed down, right, on your keyboard. And then release, the amount of time that it takes to fully resolve, to fully get back down to zero. Okay, so it's really, really simple. And just knowing that when it's attached to amplitude, it's fine to say stuff like attack, the amount of time that it takes to reach full amplitude, right, or peak volume. But when the envelope is controlling something like filter cutoff, for instance, or resonant peak or pitch, then we quickly have to rethink, right, how we're talking about our envelope. And it's really important that we do that, because that is going to help us get there in regards to figure out just mentally how to make all these different sounds and kind of dissect and digest what we're hearing and all the other sounds. See if there's any big questions here. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, BlackBerry, just as a point of interest, and this is a radio-related phenomenon, the silence between the words of a solo voice is perceived by the listener as the loudest thing on the radio. Yeah, right? Scruffy Rico, yeah, so a couple of things are kind of shifting in my world. One is that I haven't been able to do proper one-on-ones with people for the most part in some time. And it's not changing anytime soon. So I want to pour a little bit more educational stuff into the stream. And we had this conversation over the last couple of streams about actually going through the process of learning everything from the ground up, right, for sound design and how it feeds into music production and post-production and all that stuff. But just fully getting like a college level comprehension and mind wrapped around all of this stuff, right? And go through it all in this kind of sequential order. So you're being introduced to the different concepts and synthesis types and tools as they were released in real time, right, in the real world over the years. And when we do that, combined with this kind of left of center approach to sound and thinking about sound that I have, it all kind of culminates in this really, really rapid way of learning all of this stuff and then having control and a deep understanding of things, which allows you to work with real intention. Yeah, you have Monarch running inside of Reaktor, Javar. In fact, all of you that have complete have Monarch, and it is amazing. It is amazing. And there are ways in which you can actually make it a polysynth as well. It is a Moog monosynth. It is amazing. The envelopes differentiate your sounds from default Casio sounds to actual instruments. Yeah, Javar says the Moog is a great place to start because it's simple enough that you can wrap your brain around it. Yeah, a monosynth is a really easy thing to do because, or to learn on, right? Because you're just thinking about like one note at a time, which allows you to focus on the delivery of a single sound, of a single note, which is great. Yeah, and BlackBerry is saying this kind of envelope manipulation and sound synthesis generation will benefit you tremendously when it comes to mixing. Your crossfades are amplitude, decay, release contours, for example. Exactly. Okay, yeah. See, so here's a really, really common thing. What is subtractive and what is additive? Okay, so additive is a type of synthesis that is unlike any other. It's just sine waves for the most part. In the modern age, it's taken a little turn, but for the most part, this is just sine waves that you have like complete control over every single partial and their phase position. Subtractive synthesis is a synth, so it's got an oscillator that's got an amp, right, that allows us to hear the sound, and somewhere between the oscillator and the output is a filter. And if it's got a filter between the oscillator and the output, it is subtractive. Okay. If there are no other fundamental types of synthesis introduced in that chain, like FM or phase distortion or ring modulation, anything like that, then it is just subtractive. Okay, so basically we affect the sound over time by removing frequencies, which is the traditional model of filters, which are EQ curves, right? So that is it. Yeah, so BlackBerry says, I'm doing something similar, comparing and contrasting audio in a live versus studio setting, but jumping around a little, introducing a concept, then expanding on the implications and relevance in both settings. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what I like to do. Have these like very, very zoomed in and kind of myopic conversations about a theory or a tool or a concept or part of a workflow, whatever, and then zoom out and look at it in the macro. Like, here's a few examples of how this is applied, and then zoom way back in, right, and figure out a little bit more. And I think that it's a really good way for most people to learn, right? Because it keeps things in context, and it also keeps things moving in a way that makes sense because we're moving through stuff as it happened in real time, right? So we're not making these profound leaps that involve these like complex strains of our imagination to get there, right? My kid has been asking if he can watch the Sesame Street from when I was little, which for those that are old like me will remember. Kermit the Frog was on Sesame Street. Snuffleupagus was imaginary, and nobody believed Big Bird that he existed. He was imaginary. What else is different? There was no Elmo. Elmo didn't exist yet, right? Or any of those newer characters, Abby, any of them. But anyway, it's fascinating, these conversations that happen when he's watching one of these old episodes, because he said, okay, so if Elmo didn't exist, how did you find out about him? And I was like, well, we had to wait for him to be born, basically, right, to be introduced. And he said, so did you like watch that on YouTube or whatever? And I was like, no, we didn't have internet. And to watch him try to comprehend the world without internet was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Like, he can start at these other points of this conversation. But I feel like the large majority of us really need to start from this point of like, okay, so here's this one concept that's been introduced. Now add a little bit to that. Okay, now add a little bit to that. Okay, now add a little bit to that. And it allows you to incrementally kind of update your understanding in real time with this thing, which makes a profound difference, right? Because it allows you to get there one step at a time. So yeah. Yeah, or traditionally at least filters subtracted, right, Javar? So many things have been skewed a bit. Trailer, what's up, dude? Welcome in. How are you? We are all looking forward to meeting you today. Javar was saying, I was thinking it was additive because you're laying more than one oscillator together. Has nothing to do with it. Yeah, correct. Exactly. You are adding sounds, but it is not an additive synthesis. It should have like a little trademark next to it or something. Oh, Barkley, man. Barkley was so good. So big. So big. Too old for Sesame Street, says Paul. Oh, man. The Tweedlebugs. We spent over 2 hours talking about what is a decibel. Oh, dude, that's so great. Oh, I love that. Will is in the house. How you doing, Will? Happy New Year to you, homie. Yeah, those conversations, those need to happen sometimes. Every once in a while, you need to talk for 2 hours about what is a freaking decibel, right? And why are LUFs so important? Maybe we'll let BlackBerry handle most of those for the time being while we dip our brains into the absolute basics of just what are the things that are wiggling when we say we make the air wiggle, right? Like, how do these things actually occur? How do these things happen? So this is how you start to get a true grasp of the different types of sounds that you're hearing, and how to arrive at them is just by this. Just like the first few days is just playing with those waveforms, right? This next step is to play with those waveforms with shape and understand that this process is very much the beginning of the very next step, which is you're going to start every sound by making its shape, right? And a lot of us can comprehend the concept or the importance of using placeholders in music production, right? Because we often turn to a very similar sound each time when we're beginning a new song or something, right? We are comfortable with the guitar, so we try to pluck this idea out on a guitar first, right? Or maybe we're comfortable with piano, so we pick some keys and we just go, right? And then we go back and we find the sound that we want later, right? You know what I mean? Well, this is somewhat similar. So what we're going to start doing is kind of training the brain into, okay, what type of sound do I need? And when we say what type of sound do we need, we're talking big picture here. Okay, is this a pluck? Is this a pad? Is this some sort of evolving soundscape? Is this what, right? And we're thinking shape first because we're thinking about like a function, right? A function of what we actually need from this sound, right? And usually we have those wants or needs for particular reasons, right? Maybe we need a pluck instrument because we've already got we've got some pads, we've got some drums, right? We've got all the things. Now we just need something that can cut through the mix and articulate quickly, right? And understanding the purpose of a sound that functions in such a manner is really, really important. It's really, really important because when you start to have specific needs or wants from your sounds, you need to know how to get there, right? And this is how you do that. So this is the absolute like second step of the basics, is starting to play with the shape and play with just the envelope at first and just the envelope on the amplitude, right? And you can just, for instance, if you were to play with just plucks for a second, which means bringing down your amplitude or your attack and your decay. you can really quickly start to suss out what types of waveforms make what types of sounds. So here's a sine wave. Sounds very melody, right? Very round. It's got kind of a soft appeal to it. The sawtooth, of course, is biting. It's got a real sharp appeal to it. So the triangle is very similar to the sine wave, but it sounds more tonal, or like it's easier for our ears to grab the tones. It's got a bit more of a digital kind of a sound to it. And then you've got the square, or the pulse, right? And we should think about this as a pulse wave, not a square wave, because the timbre of this waveform is highly dependent upon the size of the pulse, or the pulse width. So this is very much like the sawtooth, but it's kind of digital sounding like the triangle. There's a different pulse width. And another one yet. So it's just really, really important to hear those different characteristics in real time as you're playing with the shape. And it's also very important to play across a range of like 5 or 6 octaves, right? I can't count how many times people have started the conversation with me in regards to training and stuff, asking like, how do I get those really like thick and gritty, and they've got this kind of little bit of noise to them. They're talking about these basses, right? And they start to explain that you can hear them in like acid music and dubstep and all of these things, but they can never quite get that kind of crunchy kind of a thing. And then I play a sawtooth for them with nothing on it, way down low. And they're like, that's it, that's the sound. And it's a really good example of thinking that you have to start with stuff that's much more complex than you need to, right? And these people were pretty much every single time starting off with a really complex waveform, right? They were probably opening up a synth like this and finding something, that had a bunch more wiggles in it to begin with. And they could never really get the sound, the super clean sound is how most people would describe it. So anyway, just a few things to consider. So for the next few days, you play with just shape and just those basic waveforms, and move them around, like move these parameters around and play with them, and just track what's happening. And that's it. Just spend a little bit of time each day. You can do it upwards of like 3 or 4 times per day for the next few days, for as long as you can tolerate it, basically, right? Whether it's 15 minutes or an hour or 2 hours. It's great if you can really immerse yourself in something so flippin' basic. And it does get more interesting very quickly. Those first couple of days do feel fairly mundane in the beginning, but it's actually worth it. So it really, truly is. Yeah, Will, absolutely. Very, very, very busy right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Javar, and that's just it, is that any synth can be just as immersive as those old Moogs, and those old Moogs are great for learning and understanding because they're very limited. The challenge with a lot of the modern tools is not getting too distracted, right? With all of the various bells and whistles being put in front of you. It really is, it can be tough. But if you can spend like a couple of hours just being fascinated by the various results that you can get with just an envelope. And just sonically listening, like if you have a long release and a long attack, that means that if your release and attack are both long enough that you start to get these kind of overlapping moments where notes commingle. And what if you're just moving up your keys chromatically or something, right? Then you're going to start to hear what beats are. And how they operate in different octaves. Right? And you can start to hear those early tastes of frequency modulation and ring modulation and stuff as sound waves are beginning to collide. And when you're focused on such simple, pure waveforms and you're not playing with other effects and filters and stuff, it becomes quite obvious the more times you encounter it, exactly what's happening. And you don't need fancy, expensive, complex words to explain some of this stuff. You can just feel it and understand what's happening, right? The other nice thing about staying so simple is that when you do start to feel yourself kind of like getting to that point where you're like, okay, I think I'm kind of done with this. I'm not sure, if I'm really like learning much right now. You can dip into some of the effects, like maybe just a delay. And when you start to really listen to things like decay, like sounds dissipating over time, resolving over time, going back down to their point of origin, if you will. What you're hearing is your sound being disclosed to you in different ways, in different modes of operation. And you start to gain not just like a deeper appreciation for a simple sound like this, but you begin to gain an understanding of cause and effect and function of some of the most basic effects that are in most synths, right? And they're there for a reason. They're there for a reason. And the reason why the basics have been the basics for so long is because you really do not need more than those things. There is so much that you can do with them, right? So anyway, just some things to consider. Play with shape. That's the big thing for the next few days. And don't forget to incorporate noise and silence into your spectrum of sound, right? All right. And yeah, being constrained is a good thing. It's quite possibly the most important thing with all of the learning stuff is the how are we restricted today? That's really the question. BlackBerry says the perception of harmonic overtone relationships really comes into play in the summation of a mix and the comparative volume variations. You can turn down a complex, grimy, crunchy sub or a triangle wave, and the quieter you make it relative to the rest of the mix, the more the harmonic color shifts between your source and the rest of your mix. Absolutely. Absolutely. Trimtie says, also, I've been realizing that I'm a bit impatient when it comes to my track structure, so I'm currently working and experimenting with some more tension building and get more interesting breaks and build-ups. Yeah. Time. It's so funny. It's so funny. And I feel like I get to see it a bit more clearly than I always have before because I'm a parent now. But we spend so much time wanting to be heard, our ideas wanting to be heard. And then when we start making music, right, like real music where you're bringing multiple parts together, it's kind of our first foray into hearing that from something else in life. Like, I need to be heard. I'm not being heard. I want to be heard. You know what I mean? It can be kind of difficult. And when we are heard, right, when other people are able to hear us in those important moments when we feel like we have something important to get across, things usually shift, right? Like, things they feel more complete, right? Like, everything is interacting the way that they should be together. And that's kind of the mixed thing too, right? But going back just into the sound design perception of all of this, or approach, or filter, I guess, on all of this is, we need the same to be true for our sounds, right? So when we're dealing with a more complex sound that has a few different components, we need to understand all of those fundamentals about mixing and stuff to make those things happen, right? Successfully, anyway, nowadays. And then when we do our job the right way, in that regard, then everything works really well in the mix as well. So we make guys like BlackBerry really happy. Saw waves in the C0 to C3 is the 8-bit fart register, right? Also found a video documenting the groups that led the rise of the 80s synthwave and the equipment they were using in the early days. Like, Parliament was getting a lot of those powerful, funky bass lines with nothing but a triangle oscillator and a filter, but it sounded great in context. Yeah, in context is almost always the thing. But look, yeah, it's true. Like, and remember that the limitations weren't just the waveforms, but they were like the filters as well, right? Maybe you only had one filter, maybe you only had one envelope on the whole dang synth, right? So now you're using that envelope to control things like filter cutoff. And when you have that unity in a tool, it actually becomes quite powerful because everything starts to sound very intentional and cohesive. Right? Like, this is just a single, like, okay, so we've got a sawtooth, we've got a really sharp pluck, and we've put that sharp pluck on the cutoff, and that's it. And that's it, right? And we can beef that up however we like. If we were Parliament, we'd run it through a pedal, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, everything got amped. And things sounded so mind-bending and great because they were new. And the pieces fit together. The audio basics: onion, carrots, and celery. That's the classic mirepoix for those who are keeping track at home. Says BlackBerry. And you have a world of possibilities. Yeah, exactly. Trem ties. So, oh yeah, getting back to this idea of, so everything needs to be heard, everything wants to be heard, blah, 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 blah. It takes time to hear all of those things, right? And this is where the silence thing and the noise thing becomes so supremely important in your sound spectrum, because when you consider them to be part of the sound spectrum, you feel you're more likely to include them. Right, because they are part of the spectrum, and it's important, right? You don't have to have absolute silence, but having dynamic range in there, and like Trem Ties is saying, a chance for us to catch our breath and actually digest what was just thrown at us is great, right? Like, allowing ourselves to just kind of like be steeped in the sound of something, that takes time, which requires patience, which means we actually have to know how those things develop from beginning to end, right? We are not savages. We have envelopes for both filter and amp. Exactly. Rain is here. The hungover bat has made it in. Snowed in and hungover. Blackberry says, to really hear things in a composition, you need variation over time, from composition to arrangement to sound selection to mixing. It all applies. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Javar says, oh yeah, with the Casio VL Tone, a friend had one in high school and we put it through a bass amp in the band room and we were blowing everyone away. We formed a band around it and it was funny to watch. You'd hear this giant sound in the hallway, then come in and see a guy hunched over this tiny calculator thing. Yeah, exactly. We are not savages, we are Devo. Devo Nation. Oh, alive and well. That's awesome. I'm going to check in on the Discord really quick and see. Okay, so I think we're still at the same 6, so that won't take us too long. I'm going to do a little bit of work on some beats if I can, which I really need to get my brain into the right mode to do so. So let's just listen to the output of the ones that I did last week. These are them. Cool. I was pretty sure I had them open still. All right. Yeah, jungle beats, right? Yeah, right, Javar? Oh, yeah. Oh, you guys feel free also to fire questions my way too about all that basic stuff. I just kind of assume that more questions will be coming as we get into much more complex stuff, which absolutely makes sense. But if you guys do have any questions about any of the basic stuff, please do not hesitate and don't feel like there is ever a reason to feel like as cliche as it sounds, like there's a stupid question. You know what I mean? Because there really aren't. These are not things that we just fall out of our mamas knowing. You know what I mean? So, Organic Mood, welcome in, dude. Good to have you here. -10 Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's no good, dude. That's just too cold. Dremia, this is a great quote. My 6-year experiment with limitation has shown me a world with no limits. That's exactly it. That is the takeaway of working with restrictions and limitations, is that like they are so freaking fantastic for productivity and for creativity, but they are also necessary. They're just necessary to comprehend that fact that there are no limits. any evidence of snow left with Christmas. Actually, we had a massive storm yesterday that wiped out rainstorm and wind, really heavy last night, and it wiped out the last snowmen on the deck yesterday. So Organic, we're not doing feedback today, which is a rare thing for us. Today is our monthly listening party and voting party. We have a monthly community challenge that we do here. All subscribers get a free sound pack each month, and whatever they're inspired to make, they come and they submit in the challenge each month, and that earns them another free sound pack and a chance to be on the show, a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So definitely stick around. It's a really fun day each month. And we usually start listening to submissions around 12 Pacific or so, which is in about 50 minutes. And until then, we'll just make awesome stuff and continue to answer questions about sound and music production. That is true, Javar. There could be never too much cowbell, right? Tremtai says, okay, basic question. I noticed something that really fills up the mix. I noticed having a very silent rumble, sine wave, 808 kind of bass underneath a very simple bass pattern. So do you have any thoughts on how to get around that trick while keeping some of the low end on the actual bass synth? Yes. Okay, so basically what you're wanting is some sub, but only when the other sound is hitting in the mix, correct? This is actually quite simple. So what you would do is you would set up a synth. Okay, yeah, this is actually a really simple thing. So you're just going to set up a synth, and you can use a basic sine wave to give it a really clean sub. If you want it to be just a little bit more dirty, you can get a sine wave that's been just barely altered. You can do that in any number of ways. You can do that yourself. Or you can just grab a waveform that's just slightly not a sine wave. Anyway, you dial in the note that you want, and whether you want this to be sustained or whatever, right? You give it the shape that you want. Okay, and then the very next thing you're going to do is put a noise gate on here, which is usually in the dynamics tools in your DAW. And you're going to set this up as a gate, not a ducker, which means that the gate is going to open when a signal comes through it. And when I say signal comes through it, I mean you're going to enable your sidechain, and you're going to port in the audio from the synth that you want to add the sub bass to. Okay, so in other words, synth number 1 is your bass synth, and synth number 2 is that sub bass rumble that you want. Okay, you're going to side chain in your sub bass. Okay, and then you're just going to dial in the shaping, the threshold, which is the signal strength, right? Like at what point should the gate open? And then what is the reduction, right? Reduction is a 100% decibel reduction. So in other words, when this is closed, let's make it closed so you can't hear any sound out of it. And when it needs to open is based upon the signal strength of the signal coming in. And that's it. Your attack, hold, and release times is how you shape this. And that's it. Exactly what you do, but you do the noise gate manually. What do you mean you do the noise gate manually? Because the noise gate should, like if you have just like a volume envelope, if you have your timing set up right here, this should be pretty automagic for you. And then I would suggest saving the preset too, right? So that way next time you go to load up something like this in a project, you can just pull up that preset and tweak it just barely, and you'll probably be out the door running in like 10 seconds. Yeah, exactly. So BlackBerry is talking about the frequency relationship. He's saying, and I'm usually picking a sine frequency that corresponds with the resonant frequency of the venue, making it shake, meaning I can mix at a lower overall and psychoacoustically fool people into it sounding louder because they're feeling the rumble. That's exactly it. Yeah. So yeah, these noise gates, man, they're great. Does that answer the question, Drumties? Now this, this right here. I did meet a flying Elvis at a Sally Ann in Edmonton once, though. Oh man. Yeah, you bet, dude. Yeah, this is a really good way to do it. And it's awesome when you stumble into stuff like that. Yeah, the harmonic relationship stuff is so super powerful. Like from, like the stuff that Iggy and I are always talking about, like the mixing with saturation instead of EQs and stuff like that. The like this stuff that BlackBerry's talking about. It just less is more and keeping it simple, you know? Yeah, keeping it simple. All right, where were we with these beats here? Okay, I did this one, so we're on to a brand new one here. That was a lot. Sorry. All right, let's spice this thing up. Let's do... little high pitch, high frequency crunch there. Apologies in advance for pounding. That's probably an annoyingly loud pound, isn't it? Holy hell, that's loud. Sorry, we're in the process of putting a new fence right on the other side of this flipping wall right here. It'll only last a minute. Oh man, that's so loud. Yeah, get them to pay in time with the beat, right? Yeah, that's what I should do. Just flip on the speakers, crank up the volume, let them pound to the beat. There should be some squirrels. There are usually squirrels, a couple of them that hang out on the, when I look out this window right here, there's our garage. So the garage is detached from the house, and there's this roof on the top of it. right? Obviously. And the squirrels kind of line up on this slanted angle and they eat their seeds and nuts and watch me through this little window here. Techno construction crew, get it done fast and with style. Oh man, yeah, Andromeda could make a whole album out of events. Absolutely. I have not sampled them yet. Actually, I got the notification that they were en route to do this, like as I had already fired up a stream. It kind of par for the course the last couple of days. dealing with the weather and stuff. All right, just checking my LUFs here. It's pretty spicy. Let's just double check our sub on this. We can take it down a little bit more. I just don't want to take the volume down too much more on this. Let's go up the middle just a little bit. Look at that eye. Oh, that's still pretty spicy, but you know, let's bounce this. What is this? Beat 19? All right, let's flip these guys off, and at the top of this chain, let's put in an instance of cable guy shaper box here. Little filter. All right, let's add a little heat to this. All right, now let's give it some guts. All right, cool. Let's bounce this one. This is 20. I'll come back and bounce them all one more time, get them all chopped up into even loopable bars and whatnot. We still feed the squirrels here, Jawar. Oh my goodness, I never even considered that. Heidi, I never once considered the fact that squirrels take peanuts and then go hide them in some person's yard that is allergic to peanuts. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Blackberry says, as an aside, being so old school, I find monitoring using LUFs a bit frustrating as the meter ballistics and energy RMS based on bandwidth is so different than a VU meter. So I haven't gotten my brain to correlate the two. Yeah, it's a thing. And also, you know, just knowing to operate like in true peak and like just understanding like why you're monitoring your LUFs or like setting a standard in the first place is good. is good to know. Like, for instance, I'm keeping LUFS intentionally low here, which keeps my decibels down as well, because I'm not normalizing any of this audio, because most of this content, all of this content really, will be used in other people's projects, right? So they're going to blast this stuff in various ways. And there's got to be room for that to happen. So yeah, and the industry loudness standards are all kind of built up around the LUFS these days, so. Saf, they get them from me. They get the nuts from me. Oh. Oh, Heidi, that sucks. Oh, serapeptides. Yep, still no clue. Certain aspects of chat may require a PhD. We're soon going to be overrun by squirrels. We're planting this spring an acre of hazelnut trees. Oh my goodness, are you seriously? We're hoping to grow truffles from the roots. They're inoculated 4-year-old trees we're planting. Cool, cool, cool. Wow. Nice, Blackberry. That's awesome. Lovesvania, huh? Lovesylvania? Hey, it's almost that time. It's almost time to meet Trailer. Bears love hazelnut trees. Just saying. Oh, no. That's awesome. All right, let's see if I have any other ideas for this beat here. Let's see. Yeah, actually, you know what? What if we let's click through to a random preset page and see what happens here. Let's find something that might be interesting. One of these days, I'm going to go through every single one of these presets. That one actually does give me kind of an idea. Okay, let's go new here, and let's get into like a really simple stutter. Yeah, something like this. Okay, now let's go in and untether this from beat and get into hertz. And we'll drop in a little pluck here. Let's smooth it just slightly. And let's speed this way the hell up. Let's tune this. G. We're going A minor here. Let's see if we can find that. Oh, I don't know what that is because this isn't reading it correctly, but I do like that pitch right there. So maybe we'll just bring this one in. Okay, now let's see if we can put that behind here and build something up top over the top of this. All right, cool. So hi, let's do all right, let's untether this. That's a little quick. Let's bring this down a bit. All right, cool. Let's add a little filter thing in here. Take that off the subs. And add a little drive. All right, let's add something just to glue this a bit. All right, let's shave just a little bit out of those highs there. Cool. See what that looks like on the meter. All right, cool. Let's bounce that. So this is beat 21. Just make sure those three actually sound different from one another. Yes, quite different. Yeah, they sound very different. Okay, cool. Mission accomplished then. Save that. Mute that. On to the next. Hey, have there been any audio issues today with Streamlabs, you guys? I show nothing over here. Yeah, Rain, you know, presets are a good thing. They save you a lot of time. Yeah, I owe it all to preset 17. That's awesome. Yeah, it highly depends on what thing you're using presets in, I guess, huh? Wow, Blackberry. Nice, dude. Blackberry saying, I have chickens, fruit trees, a massive garden. Bears are already a frequent and an almost daily visitor. I'm used to them. Besides, the orchards will be protected by an electric fence, and when they come out of hibernation, you just hang a little foil with peanut butter on it, and the bear comes by, licks the peanut butter, and avoids the fence until you have the same again come harvest time. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, everybody loves peanut butter, right? Yeah, I agree. I agree, Blackberry. I think it's a shame when wildlife must be taken out because they're an inconvenience to mankind. Right, Rain? So beautifully said. I find that mindset rather hilarious now, especially when I consider half the analog gear I buy is so I can sound like someone else, right? That is pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Oh, man. Yeah, Saf, absolutely. A slightly detuned C6 on top of that G. Okay. I wonder how that's actually going to sound in the mix. That may not work. C, a slightly detuned C. Oh yeah, no, it would. It would. That would work. A color therapy garden without bears, please. Oh, man. What would you rather spend 20 hours tweaking? Wait. Would you rather spend 20 hours tweaking the hell out of a sound to try to get that perfect sound, or would you rather use a preset? Boom. Oh, Heidi. So glad she's talking to Trailer here. So glad you stayed with us. Now you're on the stream. That's awesome. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, there's no shame in using presets. Plus, it keeps guys like me in business, right? Yeah, true, Blackberry. True. G to C is a fourth. Nice. Should work great. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. We're about quarter till, which means 20 hours. What are you doing to the poor sound? Slow cooking it in Dremia. It takes time to break down those connective tissues. You know, You know those sounds. It just got to be cooked just right. All right, so we're going to start listening here shortly, which means I need to go fill up my coffee mug, and I need to call Trailer, which means you guys are probably going to listen to some music for just a minute while I go do that. And then we're going to circle back and listen to all the fun stuff that you guys posted. And we'll be starting with Trem Ties this time, it looks like. Slow cooked beat. Slow cooked beats. Ooh, I like that actually. Slow cooked beats. Huh. I kind of like that. Slow cooked beats. Beats with flavor. I like it. All right. Yeah, I'm going to grab some coffee. Let's play something for you guys. I'm not sure exactly what happened 4 days ago. When was 4 days ago? Today's Monday. That would have been Friday. Is my math on Mondays? Holy hell! Look at me trying to figure out how many days ago 4 days was. Oh, that's hilarious. But it was definitely not a day that I was streaming and a bunch of people followed. So whoever it was here that was sending people over here, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was Thursday. Oh, shoot. Wait. Hold on a second. Before I go, I'm just reading this. Javar says, a friend of mine from Alaska fell into a den of hibernating grizzlies once. Luckily, since they were hibernating, so they were groggy, and he had a hatchet. Oh, a hatchet because he was cutting wood. He got out as quickly as possible, but he didn't escape completely unscathed. Holy hell. That is... I mean, that's freaking scary. Man. No, Seth, no. Johnny Slow Cooked Beats brought to you by McDonald's. No way. Not in a million years. Just Slow Cooked Beats, please. Oh, shit. Javar, dude. Ah. Dude, I can't even imagine. Oh, that would be absolute insanity. That would just be too much. All right, I'm gonna save this, close this. We'll open something with some tunage. Until we get more stuff to bounce out, we'll just do this modular stuff. Go grab a cup of coffee, and you'll know when we're close because you'll hear the hot mic moment when it happens. Let's go. Maybe oscillator 3 today. There's no audio. Oh. Streamlabs, you were doing so good. But no crackling or anything, right? No crackling today? Band name, hot mic moment. Oh, that's great. Let you guys listen to some total randomness while I go get some coffee. Maybe we should mix in one more oscillator. Let's see what happens. All right, I'll be back in a few. With trailer. Hey, look who's here, guys. Let me just hit pause on this and get back to our man trailer here. All right, let's do a quick little audio test. Can we hear you? Oh, you know what? I don't hear you now. Hold on a second. We had you a moment ago.
Okay, I was trying to mute. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to mute the sound coming out of Zoom so I can just hear everything through the stream.
Perfect. Yeah, maybe that's what we do, is we just mute it entirely until you're speaking. Is there a massive delay there for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that took several seconds, didn't it? I wonder why there's been such a big delay the last couple ones. All right, so we'll be patient. We'll be patient. That was a good solid 5 seconds or so, I feel. So we'll be patient. So for those who were not here last month, Trailer was the big winner from the community challenge. Trailer, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've just moved to the States about 7 or 8 months ago now. Back in May, I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm a music teacher, so I was teaching abroad in China. I met my wife, who's American, in China. We moved to Dubai, taught there for a bit, and then by the end of that 3 years in Dubai, I was like, yeah, I think I've sort of had my fill of schools. Like, teaching is awesome, absolutely love it, but the institutions, I was like, yeah, music is getting kind of muscled out of the curriculum more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, said to my wife, you've got more earning potential than I do. We're going back to America. I'll just look after the kids.
There you go.
Like a toddler. I was like, I'll do some music in and around that,
right?
And just totally change things up. And,
yeah.
Yeah, that was when I found the stream, and it's been great. Like, I've been sort of seriously, or trying to take writing more seriously for the last 2 or 3 years, and I was like, yeah, I've got something. I got this, and then the concepts and stuff from the stream, and all of the other artists who are producing music here, and I was like, oh, okay. So really nice to kind of, like, humbling, right? To just kind of go back to the beginning and just like learn everything like again. So yeah, it's been a really interesting journey.
That's really awesome that you're giving yourself that chance to do that. That you have the ability to. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been great.
And you're right, man. There's absolutely nothing that will change it up more than throwing a toddler into the mix.
Yeah, it's quite something.
Right. All right, so we are right at high noon here. So we're going to start listening to this month's submissions and see what people got up to. Just a quick reminder, we close the gates to entries here shortly. So if you have not gotten yours submitted yet, please do so quickly before we reach that point in the queue. So, all right, so this first one is from Drum Ties, and he's been sending through some really fun stuff lately. So this should be good. Let me unblock your face and skinny this up a little bit. And we're going to, I'm going to set up our voting poll as well while we do this. We get a little bit more streamlined every month. All right. Yeah, you know what, Javar? There actually is. There's a few different platforms that I've looked at and just not had the chance to actually do. Oh, and speaking of the collaboration thing and sharing things in real time, someone messaged me over the weekend asking if we still have plans to be doing the collaboration stuff using the mixed in key tool that I mentioned a couple weeks before the holiday break. And the answer is yes, we will be doing that. It'll be a part of, I'd say probably a third of the streams or so. That's the plan. All right, so let's get this kicked off. This first one is from Tremties, and it's called People Cannot Be Trusted. Oh, this should be good.
Government censorship is one form of control. A newspaper which breaks a government censorship rule can be suspended. Can be suspended. People can be trusted. People can be trusted. People can be trusted.
Okay, hold on a second. It looks like the audio was borked. One moment, please. I think it's because I opened that project and Streamlabs sucks. So let's do that again. All right, let's try that again.
Government censorship is one form of control.
There we go.
A newspaper which breaks a government censorship rule can be suspended.
There we go.
Can be suspended. People can be trusted. 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 It is also possible for newspapers and other forms of communication to be controlled by private interests. And if books and newspapers and the radio are efficiently controlled, despotism stands a good chance.
People cannot be trusted. Extermination complete.
Oh, freaking Tremties, man. I love you, homie. This is freaking great. I love that you combined the two packs. Trailer, what did you think?
This is banging. Like, this got some really good stuff in. Like, I love the, it was Tremties, right, that bought that really weird swing track. Was it last week?
Yeah.
It just had something crazy in it. And he was like, oh, it's kind of a mistake. But that was Tremties, right? Because it has that same, like, I love that, like, heavy swing and then using the, like chopping or finding the rhythmic idea in the dialogue and then basing the track around that.
Yeah.
Is and yeah, I find it really interesting in listening to these things when I'm drawn to the things in it that I don't know how to do, or things that surprise me. Of like, to me, it's not an obvious workflow.
Right.
And I really like the sections in this, and then just having the time of the patience to just make the ending so kind of bonkers.
Yeah, I totally agree on all fronts. I think that it's that unexpected stuff that always keeps me coming back for more. You know, just, I love knowing how other people freaking think, I think is what it is. Like there's a lot of choices in there that I just wouldn't make. And they're infectiously fun. Tremties, you are infectiously fun, my friend. Yeah. Speaking in triplets. Yeah. I'm such a sound guy that I will actively ignore lyrics a lot of time, and I'll pay attention to the timing of the delivery of the words and stuff. And I might listen to something 5, 6, 7 times through before I actually start listening to what they're saying. Yeah, I really like the basing it around like the pentameter, I guess, as it were. That's good stuff, Tremties. Thank you. Next one is Saffron. He says, this one I kind of mixed with space transmission calls with the Santa samples and turned into a hook heavy track. Really worked nicely. Excellent. Okay, so this one is called Tough Disc Call and Low Blockage. Your names, dude, every time. Heidi with the Saf, I'm concerned your midichlorians are high. Which kind of high are we referring to here, Heidi? Saf, it works. It's fun. It's very hypnotic, as per your usual. Trailer, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, this is great. I mean, it's that saffron thing where it draws you in, right? And then you've just got all of these. I really like that there's a sort of even the vocals on this. I tried this on mine, right, of running it through some weird kind of like vocal synth thing, and I couldn't sort of pull it off. But I like the way this sits, and then you're just drawn to all these other layers and aspects of it. So you got the kind of like really interesting off-time loops. The vocal sample is out of sync, right? It's like a 7, and then the drums is in 4, 8, so whatever. It just has, so that keeping that offset just keeps for that interest as the whole thing is like rolling through, and these really interesting elements.
Yeah.
Hearing sort of going off in the stereo feels great.
Yeah, it gives it that funky, like dotted round kind of feel. Yeah, I like it. Saf, the thing that I have always liked about your stuff and continue to like is the layering. Some really interesting pan work in that one too. But mostly the processing on the vocals for me on this one. That's what I really liked about this one. Yeah, very trance-inducing. I agree, Andromeda. Like 6 feet high. All right, so next up is our man Trailer here, saying this one came out of a rather vague and meandering experiment. Got a bit of mod bits in there too for good measure. Oh, nice. Okay, here we go. And this one's actually playing from Dropbox here.
This business about open-mindedness is nonsense.
The test of despotic power is that it can disregard the will of the people.
Ooh.
Will of the people. The test of despotic power is that it can disregard the will of the people. Will of the people.
Oh man, this is good.
But it is also the problem of us all. And thus, to approach despotism.
Holy heck, that was good. I really enjoyed that. Man, there's so many different things to enjoy about this. I really, really like this. I'm really digging the beat, like the kind of understated, yet like it's being pushed forward with the hats. But I really do like that kind of understated, kind of almost muted kick in there. And you somehow turned a fairly harsh dialogue sample into something buttery. Like it just kind of melted each time it hit our mind's tongue. Is that how does that work? Each time it came through, it was like it was just as buttery, and what a neat combination. And then you've also got this fairly dramatic tonal shift happening in the background too, which is great. So talk through your stuff.
Yeah, so this is stuff of really trying to experiment. Like I sort of brought up in like classical music with all that stuff, it's like notes, right? And the thing that I've been trying to unlearn recently is like the importance of sound and not just the notes. So you can think that you've got a song because you've got your melody and your harmony, all of that stuff. Check, done, done, done. You put it into a DAW, and it doesn't, it doesn't work, doesn't sound full, and that's because of all of the stuff of sound. So this was really like you talk a lot about listening to your reverb, and the power of reverb is like it allows you to just sort of paint into the space. So this was really about trying to harness this. So it's like one big bus of reverb that's then EQ'd, and I'm sort of sending things into it. So this was like very little thought about the notes, and really just this experiment of like sending things into the reverb, putting little parameters on it over time to keep that like organic sound. And then I just would come back to it every couple of days and hate what I was hearing, so find the other layers and put it in and soften things and round things off. So soundscapey, which is a new thing I'm learning. So
it's awesome. There's an incredible amount of depth in there, but there's a lot of cohesion, I think, just from the shared bus experiment that you're playing with here. It's really good. It has it's got a real like kind of grounded quality to it. It really feels rather complete. Feels good. Yeah. Cool.
That's great.
Thank you. Our third eye being licked by our mind's tongue. Welcome back, Nate. On that note, Purple is saying, Chris, these people are listening to you. I can feel the submissions really evolving from before. Yeah, like when Paul was saying that he had stitched 42 minutes worth of submissions together, it really piqued my interest. Paul isn't someone that brings stuff by for feedback and isn't like actively working on any one thing. I feel in a lot of ways he's kind of the luckiest of us all, because he's just full on pursuit of fun in his retirement right now. No expectations. There's no weight hanging around him. You know what I mean? There's no demands in any of this for him. So that really piqued my interest. But this thing that I keep hearing every month, I'm really glad you bring it up, Heidi, is this, because I have a really, really good memory for sound and music, if you guys haven't noticed already. I can remember the first things that all of y'all brought around, like over a year ago, and hearing all of it, it just makes me wish we had started the actual monthly challenges a little bit sooner, so all of us could have a better snapshot of this profound change. And I don't think it's because of me. I think it's because people have had a space that they feel comfortable in, and that there is a certain kind of vibe to the conversations that keep it all open and accessible, I think is probably the right word. for people, right? So they can apply all this stuff. But you're right. There's just this massive amount of evolution happening, and I freaking love it. All right. On that note, on to the next one. We are looking at Uncle Chrome. Next, he says, fun making this one using a different sampler in VCV rack. Oh, I wasn't expecting something new. Let's check this out. Actually, I'm going to open this up in a browser so we can get more of the visuals out. Let me just switch to the right mode here and bring this over here for us. All right, here we go. The slow fade on the visual is pretty great. This was classic, Paul. Just absolutely classic. That's really good stuff. I almost feel like we should have an opportunity to ask Paul a couple of questions about his stuff, because I don't know. I kind of wonder what prompted the change in the sampler. Just fun, just fun. And this one seems to have a bit more like early Laswell kind of vibes. I don't know how many of you are into dub, but I noticed a couple of things in this one, and I got questions. But Paul, this was fantastic. Thank you. Trailer, what did you think?
Yeah, I would love to see. It'd be great to do like a special stream of Paul showing his showing us through VCV, because I just get like crazy anxiety when I see that like setup. I downloaded it, I put a few modules in, it was just like the sort of mental. I like to work fast, and sort of VCV seems the complete opposite of that. But the sounds that come out of this are brilliant. It's like it's really like sci-fi to me. So I just kind of got this feeling of it's got a claustrophobic feel, like you're in a space helmet and you've gone through some weird portal and you're just on a bizarre techno landscape. Right. There's weird signals coming into your head. It's just it's so emotive and sort of, cinematic. And
yeah.
It's brilliant.
I'd love to see what someone like Zameritz would do with something like this. Like if he had a chance to remix something like this, what would he do with it? He's got a really cool knack for piecing things together that wouldn't normally be pieced together, and then somehow putting it into some cool space theme that actually works. I don't know how he does this thing, but I love it. A black and white montage in your head, huh, Tremtice? Paul, I just do the same thing you guys do with your DAW. Mr. Nonchalant over here. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, next, we've got Whiskey coming in. This one is called Visitors. Had a ton of fun making this, he says. Great filter.
I don't believe there are any Martians.
A Martian? Wowie wow, I'd hate to meet a creature like that on a dark night.
Oh.
Is it possible Earth has a secret device that can penetrate our radar shield?
They have a secret device.
Are you sure this is harmless?
That's the anti-gravity generator.
Oh! This guy crawled through all 250 samples. Oh, man, this thing. Heidi, we are amongst talent constantly in this room all the freaking time. Whiskey is not even here right now. He's probably off working or something, crawling through our ear holes and melting our brains while he's doing it. That's freaking amazing. Whiskey, thank you. There's lots of things about this that are awesome. I love the positive negative balance in the whole thing. I love how freaking grimy it is. I love how understated you kept all of your fills. Just some really, really, really good stuff. Trailer, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's that stuff where you hear someone do something with something so powerful with so few elements, which is something I sort of run away from. Just add in, layer up, and but like the touches there with the reverbs and those fills, it's none of it sounds like obvious to me, and just having all of that bass stuff just laying down such a solid groove sound for the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's that detail of just where you're putting in the fills, and I wonder how much of that is the samples and the control of those delays,
right?
The sort of stutter, all of that stuff. There's so much in there I'd like to pick apart.
Yeah, there's not much going on in the track, like palette wise. There's not. He picked Whiskey, wherever you are right now, when you watch this VOD, you obviously listen to every single one of those samples. You strung together this really nice dialogue that served your purposes very, very well. And I love that the palette was kept slim enough that we could all notice that we weren't so distracted by unnecessary ear candy. And yeah, the ability to focus on timbre, and your comment about most of these things not being obvious, right? You're right. For most people, they're highly accessible to Whiskey, though. This is just how his brain works. It's got to be my favorite part of listening to his stuff. Is you're right. It's not obvious stuff, and all of it seems fairly obvious to him. Yeah, for sure. Welcome in. We're not doing feedback today, though, because we are right in the middle of our monthly community listening party. We will vote to see who the big winner is this month here in a bit. But please kick back, stay with us, and chill and listen to all the awesome ear candy floating around in here, because you're amongst legends. All right, so lastly, we've got Indremia. I think lastly, did anybody else submit? No, okay. So we got to get Whiskey. We got to get Whiskey in here one of these days during one of these streams and just nail him to the floor and ask him a few questions about his process. In the meantime, we're going to listen to Impossible from Indremia, which I actually got to hear a sneak peek of this on his stream the other day. So I can say this is freaking tasty. Here we go.
He's become a toy. Impossible. Don't be afraid.
Oh my, oh me, oh, 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 oh
He's become a toy. Impossible. Don't be afraid. He's nothing but a toy now.
Pills for dinner.
Eh.
Oh, Rappo.
It's harmless. It'll wear off in a short while.
Something very strange is happening here. Let's not get excited.
I told you not to watch those silly Earth programs. I told you not to watch those silly Earth programs.
Oh my, oh me, oh. Oh my, oh me, oh. Oh my, oh me, oh. Oh my, oh me, oh.
I see a Martian.
I've seen this coming for centuries.
What a sample to end on.
Now go to sleep.
I've seen this coming for centuries. Indremia from his his position of great perspective up there in space. What do you think about this one, Trailer?
Oh man, yeah, you know, there's that. What is it? The thing people say is like with music, you want to be able to identify who it is from just sort of when you hear when you hear it, you can sort of identify who it is when you have your sound as a musician. And yeah, Indremia has this, man. Like he's got a warm place in his house because in the summer, my daughter really liked watching this. She's really into robots, robot sounds. So we would I'd have the Indremia streams on my phone, so she was always jumping in on that. So it's like I hear, and his streams just has these long form loops going that just become like trance-like, and you didn't realize you've been listening to this loop for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's an accomplishment in itself, right? You can work on a track, loop it for 20 minutes, and you can listen in on that and not be getting bored. It's a testament to how the workflow and all of the layers working up.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an Indremia track, which is in itself an achievement. And I was thinking the way that he used the sample, and it reminded me of there's a band in the UK, or a producer called AIM, who did an album called Hinterland, and he sampled, I think it was Halloween 2, with Donald Pleasant, some of his lines, maybe it was from the first Halloween. And it's just, it's so emotive, like having the voices in, and I got that from this, just with that touch of reverb on some of those samples.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great stuff.
Yeah, there's something magical happening in there with the classic, the classic sound of the aged dialogue samples. And then he had this little kind of sound in there, and right out of I Dream of Jeannie or something, classic sound. And just those two elements together made the entire thing have this kind of vintage feel to it, but the quality is, of course, modern Andremia. So Andremia, big ups, dude. Big ups to just always being you. Mm-hmm. It's appreciated. It's appreciated. He calls it granular looping, if that's a thing. All right, so I'm going to make a poll here really quick. And it's going to say, who shall be this month's big winner? And it's going to be Tremchai's Saffron, and then Trailer, and then Uncle Chrome. And then it's going to be Whiskey. ZKI. Wait, no, is that right? WY. Yep, that's right. And then Andremia. Okay, so not as many folks this month, but that doesn't make it easier because there still can be only one. Well, we can have more. Just a little dramatic Highlander moment there. All right, so we all know the drill. We're going to have a few minutes to vote on this thing together. We all have the link here in just a moment. If there happens to be a tie, our man Trailer holds the tie-breaking vote. It's a lot of power. You guys can send him Venmo, PayPal, whatever works best for you. Please. So I'm going to go ahead and create this. You guys are going to have probably like 10 minutes, and we'll listen through these while you are voting again. Let me just get back to our chat here. There can be only Juan. All right, here is your poll for voting. Right there. I'm going to put it in the Discord as well. And you guys, like I said, you got about 10 minutes or so, and we're going to listen through just a little needle drop on these. What, is someone putting in a fence on the other side of this wall? Okay, here we go. This one is from Tremchai's, coming in strong, right out the gates.
Government censorship is one form of control. A newspaper which breaks a government censorship rule can be suspended. Can be suspended. People can be trusted. People can be trusted. People can be trusted. People can be trusted. People can be trusted.
All right, so that one was from Tremchai's. The next one in was from Saf. A needle drop in a couple spots here for this one. One more needle drop here. right, so the next entry was from our man Trailer here, and it sounded a little something like this.
This business about open-mindedness is nonsense.
The test of despotic power is that it can disregard the will of the people.
Hang in there, Whiskey. Things are looking good for you right now.
Will of the people.
God, this is so good. I'm gonna needle drop. Man. Trailer, this is worthy of both speaker and screen, by the way. It really, truly is. It's got a really, really solid, good vibe. Whiskey, I see you creeping in the back door here, and yeah, you did miss the review of it, but fear not. We all absolutely loved it. You crawled into our ear holes and melted our brains, so we were singing your praises. All right, so after Trailer came Uncle Chrome. You guys still have a few more minutes to vote here. I'm going to drop that link again in the chat for y'all. So Uncle Chrome came in next, and his was this. Forgive the construction noises in the background. Gonna do a quick needle drop here. At base. All right, so Paul came in true Paul fashion. Next, we had Whiskey. So let's just do this. I'm going to play this through since Whiskey wasn't here and we all enjoyed it so much, and we have a few more minutes. We're going to do this.
Believe there are any Martians.
A Martian? Wowie wow, I'd hate to meet a creature like that on a dark night.
city with one blast.
Is it possible Earth has a secret device that can penetrate our radar shield?
They have a secret device.
Are you sure this is harmless?
That's the anti-gravity generator.
Obey my command, destroy them.
Dude, whiskey. Cheers, man. Bringing some serious heavy heat. And we had Andremia coming in at the tail end of this right here with classic Andremia vibes. This time featuring multiple samples, which is a rarity.
Don't be afraid.
Get a needle drop here.
Oh my, oh me, oh my.
We're gonna get these end sample, these outro samples too.
I've seen this coming for centuries.
Now go to sleep.
Now go to sleep. Any final words on this one, trailer? It's a bunch of good stuff.
Enjoying that on a second listen, definitely. I'm gonna go back and if that was done on a stream, I think I'm gonna go back and dive into that.
Man. Whiskey coming in strong with half of the votes. Wasn't even here when we were listening through the first time. Whiskey, thank you so much. And thank you all of you. Once again, as usual, for bringing the heat, for sharing your ideas with us and letting us hear where your mind goes when you're inspired. It's an absolutely incredible and beautiful and lovely, wonderful thing, and I hope it continues for a very long time to come. We will perhaps have a chance to see Whiskey next time around, 1 month from now. Trailer, it has been absolutely wonderful having you on the show, getting to know you a little bit. We appreciate you, and I'm so glad that you found the community. You got any parting words?
Nope, just what a excellent way to start the new year. Inspiring, ready to go to make it a cracker. And love to everyone, love you guys. It's awesome.
Yeah, we are building one heck of an awesome community here on Twitch. I will get reward samples out to people shortly. It may take a day to get them out. I've got an incredibly couple of busy days here in front of me, so please be patient. But I will get them to you, and I will get the new free sound pack posted as well for those that are currently subbed and have not grabbed the Santa Conquers the Martians sample pack. Go do so now before I take it down off the Discord, and stay tuned for the next free sound pack to be posted. Whiskey, I will reach out to you to orchestrate, coordinate a visit with us next month if you are so inclined. There's never any pressure to do so, though. For the rest of you, I appreciate you, and thank you so much. You guys are fantastic. We're going to go find someone to raid here in just a moment. But I just can't say enough just how much I appreciate you guys. And I know that 2021 was a big old pile of shit, and so was 2020 for the most part. But you guys have been the silver lining for the entire thing. And I get a lot of beautiful messages from you guys saying basically the same thing. But honestly, really, it doesn't happen without you guys showing up. So I do appreciate you guys. And I hope that we just absolutely slay it together in 2022. All right, here we go. We're going to go find someone to raid really quick. And if any of you have a request for who that ends up being, say so now, or forever hold your peace. Let's see who's on. Disco Campbell? Disco Campbell? Let's see who's on. Disco Campbell. Disco. There it is. There it is. We're going to go listen to some good funk. All right. Trailer, stick around for one really quick moment. I've only got a minute before I have to jump into a meeting. But for the rest of you, peace out. I love y'all. And I'll see you on the flip. Thank you again. You guys are awesome. We're going to go party down with a disco ball, apparently. I'll see you guys on the flip. Stay inspired. See you soon. All right, homie. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks very much. That was cool.